Hi there, and welcome to this week's Career Insights from 1080. So this week I'm really pleased to be joined by Katherine from Vodafone. She is one of my clients from a couple of years ago. So welcome, Katherine, and thank you so much for joining us. As always throughout this show, if you could like and comment and ask questions as we go, that would be really helpful. And Katherine is here really to talk about how to excel at interviews. So she is one of the most focused clients I've ever had in terms of prep for an interview and determination. So I'm just going to hand over to Katherine for a minute to do a brief introduction or to herself. So over to you, Katherine.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, very glad to be here. You know that you have a close space in my heart, and then as soon as you said it, I said I had to drop everything and do this.
Oh, thank you.
So then, let me see. So the first thing is probably you're wondering who is this black lady, Irish accent, Irish name, a Spanish accent, and that's probably what I would like to start with, because that will probably settle us into the conversation, that rather than you trying to understand me. So
Okay.
then I was born in Ecuador, born and raised there, and then I moved to the UK probably 12 years back. Married an Irishman, hence the surname. I have a 7 years old son, and I have been working in product and technology since I remember. Have memory of, and currently I'm a technical product owner at Vodafone, and we build connected devices. So we connect people with the loved ones, with the pets and devices, etc. So we just work in the tracker industry basically, and
Excellent.
happy to be here. And yeah, let's get started, Sarah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that intro. So I will go straight in with my first question, which is, you were so focused when I met you about this role at Vodafone. You'd kind of identified it was what you wanted, and you did an immense amount of prep, which we'll come on to. But how did you go about identifying that role that you were interested in applying for in the first place?
Okay. So well, the situation with Vodafone was quite unique. I didn't really apply for the role. I was contacted, and I would say that probably that's the best advice that I would say, that consider yourself a product. I mean, I am into product management, and that's probably why I have that focused mindset. That that we start with in the case of organizations, for example, we start by defining what is our vision, our mission, our objectives. So when I think about myself as a product, then I have the same mindset, that I need to identify first what is my objective in life, what I want to achieve in the next 10 years of my career, and that will determine the type of organization that I will probably apply for, or even respond an email. So that's probably the beginning of it. If you don't know how to prepare those, I probably recommend a book called Starting with Why by Simon Sinek. That will probably give you some grounds of how to create your own vision statement and mission. And then there is also other methods like the Ikigai, and you can fill those up and then understand where are you sitting, where are you heading, and the things that that drive you, make you wake up every morning and want to go to work. So yes, when that happened with Vodafone, that was a circumstance. But in general, I think I usually have a better, better results when the company actually approaches me. So I'm not. I don't think I remember. I was trying to make some summary of that, and then I came to the conclusion that actually probably about 20% of the roles I have ever applied for were the ones where I approached the company. Every other circumstance, the 80% left was actually the ones that I landed where I was approached by them. So
Okay.
that for me has been important. I mean, I have a well-defined ideal of a career and my next steps, and then if I fit those requirements for an organization, they will come to me. I mean,
Okay.
you're just putting a bait.
Okay, excellent. So your approach really is people approaching you rather than you approaching them. So I guess then, I know we didn't talk about this in detail when we did our run through, but using things like LinkedIn are going to be really important then to make sure that you're promoting your personal brand and your values and all of that kind of stuff out there for headhunters to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay, so what kind of research did you do?
Okay, to start with, you probably are going to see me, heading down. It's because I have my cheat sheet here. I'm not going to lie. I don't remember all these things, but that's actually a good thing. I mean, this is probably, information and processes that I have probably accrued for the past, I don't know, 15 years of my career, but I have been molding them. And I never remember this by heart, but if I have to say the most important areas were probably when researching the organization for me is start from the investor relationship page, and that gives you a whole breadth of understanding about the organization and where they put in the money, what are their main products, what is the revenue split, what is the probably the share price, the current share price. It gives you an idea of is it going up or down and what are the reasons, and that also helps you building those questions that you are going to ask the interviewer. And also prepares you not to ask silly questions, because and seeing as well as as a person recruiting myself, if somebody comes and asks me what are your main products, that's probably a bad sign that you're not prepared, you didn't even care about looking into what we do. So then your main competitors, do that competitor analysis yourself, and then think about the internal external competitors and who those could be, and so that you know what you are up against. Also, the number of employees and the recent recruits for me are a good sign, and a lot of it gives you an information of what are they lacking, what kind of profile are they looking recently, and that's when you go to an interview that you have already lined up. But in general, and on a day-to-day basis, I probably follow certain hashtag that relate to my area of expertise, to the things I'm interested in, and that's something that doesn't happen on the week before preparing for an interview. This is a day-to-day activity that I do, that I follow, like the Go Public or probably product launches and things like that, so that you are fully aware of what is happening in your industry. So the other thing that that have recently become more and more important for me is that diversity figures. So if the company is out there and have published clear figures about what is the diversity state, the diversity figures, and what are their goals for the 2 years term, then for me that's a good sign. And I suppose being a person of color is becoming even more important, to know that you have a space and you're going to be recognized in whatever role you are taking there. So that probably is one area about the organization. And when it comes to the line managers or the interviewers, I do go deep into understanding who they are, what the trajectory is, understanding the roles that they have had previously. And one of the key things that give me a lot of insight about that person is probably the recommendation section, because then I get an understanding, if for example if that recommendation section is empty, then probably tells me that the person is quite selfish, and I probably wouldn't want to work with that person. But and you also see how they are perceived by others, by their own colleagues. So that's in a nutshell, but there could be other things.
Okay, so it's very much about the organisation and the sort of cultural fit for you, and making sure you're aware of the organisation and the role and the people you're going to be working with, not just on a surface level, but you're kind of going down to quite a lot of detail to make sure that you're a good match.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. Now I've got to ask this next question, because this is one of the things that I think definitely made you stand out against anyone I've ever worked with. So how did you go about deciding what you were going to wear for your interview?
Yeah, probably for people listening, they don't have a clue about why you say this, but
Yes.
I'm well, as you might worked out. Sarah was my career coach and continues to be. I don't know why she says that I'm not, but she is my coach. She is my coach and is my go-to person. I mean, whenever I have questions, and she's truly effective at that. So one of the things I did mention to Sarah is I got 3 red coats that I want to wear for the interview, and it's probably it's linked to psychology. I mean, and it's, you're truly going for it, and it creates a a correlation, a relationship with the with the person, with the organization. And if I knew I was going to work with them, why not to have a couple of red coats? I mean, red jackets, and so, but it's not just what you wear, it's also I was thinking a little bit back, and when I had an interview, for example, at Toshiba. I worked for them for about 5 7 years, 5 to 5 6 years, something like that. And when I went to the interview, I actually bought a Toshiba laptop. I had to do a presentation, and I have this IBM laptop, and I just thought I can't go with an IBM laptop to an interview at Toshiba. So I bought the laptop, and I went there, and it came up in the conversation. So it really made an impact, that they saw, okay, she bought a laptop, and it's one of the high-end laptops. So then
Wow.
it's not just about what you wear. And but if you do have the chance, I mean, go for a person that probably can give you some guidance about what to wear. But in general, what I tend to do is not wearing anything flashy in every aspect. I mean, no strong odors, or or jewelry that is going to distract the interviewer, or anything that is showing too much, or that also solid colors, that are no more than 3 colors, things like that. So yeah, that's the
That's
idea.
great, thank you. And I think that was the thing that struck me. It was the match with the corporate colours. So when you were sat there in reception, you kind of you looked like you were part of the organisation already, because you were there matching their logo essentially, which was brilliant. And you'd not told me about that, about the Toshiba laptop. That's really good. I mean, I've had other clients talk to me about finding out the interests of the recruiter. So for instance, there was one he found out somehow that he was a Star Wars fan or something. So he had a Star Wars keyring on his keys. So when he got there, he just put his keys on the table, and that sparked a conversation. So similar kind of concept, but obviously yours is at a more expensive level, I guess. But same kind of thing, just to build up that rapport. So I think that's really important, and that's definitely something that makes you stand out as a candidate. So in terms of the actual interview, so we've talked a bit about the research of the organisation and the people and the industry. And I know that you've talked to me before about how much time a day you spend researching your industry. So you are definitely someone that's really, really knowledgeable in your industry. But for the actual interview, what did you do to go about preparing for that?
Okay. Yes. So in that aspect, as I mentioned, then probably the first one was probably the discussions I had with you about about the CV, the LinkedIn profile. By the way, Sarah does this awesome like a review of every single section on the LinkedIn profile, and goes deep into describing this is good, bad, what should you do, and attach that. It made a really determining factor for me to change my about section in the LinkedIn profile. And you won't think that that actually that makes an effect, but I realized that the success rate of people accepting invitation, of potential managers, increased by 70% once I changed the about profile.
Wow.
And
Okay, that's really great.
yeah, before that it was like, I think that they were looking at the profile and whatever, I just pass. So that's a really important one. And yeah, but Sarah was fundamental in that aspect. I also take, like, once the CV is being reviewed, that's also something that I have done with Sarah. I print 2 copies to take to the interview day. And that's because I probably a little bit ashamed to say this, but I have been to interviews where I have not had the time to review the candidate CV until 10 minutes before the interview starts. And in all honesty, it's just that you are just so confabulated with so many things, and then these interviews just take so much time out of your diary that sometimes you try to and don't have that moment to do it. So or somebody doesn't show up and you get invited to an interview, so you're not ready. So I would say to candidates is that print 2 copies and just have them there just in case. I mean, that really shows that you're prepared. Then the other thing is there is this interesting book called the Art of Finding the Job You Love, by Kara Halesman. And I found that one really, really interesting, because she goes deep into how to answer, the typical questions that you get, like, for example, your elevator pitch, but the way that she explained how to build it, the things to say, and the fact that you need to memorize it and probably try to say it within 2 minutes and be compelling about, your elevator pitch. That really helps. And the other part that I like about that was how to create your powerful ending. That was excellent, and I did apply, and and it was successful. It really worked, actually. So then the other thing, I have a bundle that I have created through the years, that is like an interview technique bundle, and there I have put all the questions with, like, starting from the STAR method, for example, the situation, task, action, and results, and how to answer those questions. But also, it has all the general question, competency, use cases, etc. But then the thing is that I just need to put, like 2 words probably about a project or something I have done. So when I come back to those questions, is there, and I have not forgotten about it, because you won't believe, I mean, it just, time passes and you have forgotten the amazing things that you have done in the past, and they become important when you go to an interview and the people are interested in certain aspects of your career or your expertise. So then that was another one. And then at the industry level, I think it's very important to look at questions that are related to your role. For example, in the case of a product manager, we have questions that are related to strategy, to estimation, behavioral, technical, and data analysis. So those, I have specific questions that are related to your area, but then depending on your area of expertise, you will have a bunch of those that you need to prepare for. Nowadays, I think LinkedIn, I think I saw in one of your posts that LinkedIn now have, a section for interviews related to specific roles. Isn't that right?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So it's got some, if you go to the job search section, there's an interview preparation section, and they've got 20 common questions, which is tell me about yourself, strengths, weaknesses, all of that kind of stuff. But then they've got, I think there's about 10 different sections of things like product management, customer experience. So some of those headings, they might not be the exact ones, but roughly those. And then they give you some more technical questions in those areas. So they are excellent, because they give you sample answers, but they also allow you to video yourself and watch yourself back, and they give you AI telling you how fast you're speaking, and how many filler words you're using, that kind of thing. So yeah, they're a great piece of technology if you haven't got someone to practice with.
Sure. Yes, and well, that's more or less. Well, I did mention earlier, stay current, stay
Yeah.
technical current. I mean, in your industry, and follows the hashtags. If you know all the hashtags that relates to your industry. Then when it comes to the company, because I don't know if I said at the beginning, but for me there are 3 pillars. It's about you, it's about the company, and it's also about the interview day. So then what I mentioned just earlier was about you as as a person and how you prepare for that. But then the company, we went a little bit deeper into that. But apart from that, is probably print the job description and have a good deep dive into that and what exactly they're looking for. Then I also have like a template that I take on the day, where I have all the HR contact details, the email addresses, the titles, and so that you can refer to people by name. In the heat of the moment, you forget all of that, so I just have it all there ready with with the address. And also, well, these days I suppose it's your LinkedIn, sorry, your link to the interview or something like that. So then just have those ready. Then I also get to an understanding about who is the CEO, and if they have been on the press and for what reasons, whatever those are, and so that you get an understanding about the organization. Then on the interview day, I think that was something that you like, was the fact that I tried to research like a place where I can stop for a coffee and touch up before
Yeah.
going to the interview. But at that place, I also tend to do my vocalization exercises. So I have a strong accent, so I really need to do some vocalization exercises, think about slowing down, meditation, and if I can, I also do some prayers. So so then that I allow like an hour before the interview, well, now you're at home, but probably, yeah, to search what is the right place to do that. And then what else? The outfit, we discussed that. And yeah, the intonation is very important, because it doesn't matter even if you are a native. Then you need to slow down, control your pace, get some clarity. If you do those vocalization exercises, it helps your intonation and the level of of your speech. So that's really important. Yeah, that's more or less.
Excellent, thank you. Just had a comment coming through. So Paul saying another example of the Star Wars keyring tactic or your Toshiba laptop. He interviewed someone who had cycling related cufflinks on, and that sparked conversation. He ended up getting the job. So I think that's it, isn't it? It's that rapport building with people. Okay. So we've talked about your requirements of the role, etc. The book, staying current, researching the interviewers or the organisers. You talked yesterday about having a list of prepared questions as well, didn't you? So for what you're going to ask at the interview. So how do you come about coming up with that?
Yeah, that's again part of like my my preparation book, let's say. And what I do is that there are some that that are basic questions that you probably highlight, so it makes it easier to say these apply, and then just choose those, and I put that in my file that I take to the interview. But also, while you're doing your research, I think that those really key questions are going to turn up, because you're going to find things in probably some of the information that is out there about the organization, recent moves, and new products, and strategies changing, and new directorships, whatever that is. You're going to find those there when you're doing your research. So add those.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I mean, it's been a long time since I've had an interview, but I always like to ask whoever it is that's interviewing me what they like about the company. And I find that's quite good, getting insight, because first of all, it stops them and makes them really think. And I think it's quite hard to bluff that kind of question as well, so that you might get some insight about the organisation then, is what I've found.
Absolutely.
Okay, so after the interview, did you do a follow-up?
Yes, I did, and yes, with my current line manager, I did send her an email, saying thank you. So very rarely you probably get a reply, but I think it's just the action of doing it. And with the HR, if I have the telephone number, I just call him directly and talk to the person. They are usually more open to talk to you, but also send a nice email. It doesn't have to be anything long. It's just to have that acknowledgement that you are there, you're interested, and to express what was your feedback. I mean, if you enjoyed the interview, and if you thought it was successful or not. And they really want to hear that, because it's a two-way conversation. It's not just them hiring you, it's about you also being interested in the organization.
Yeah, that's good. I've seen quite a lot of debate on LinkedIn about this topic, and lots of people saying it's pointless and you're trying to bribe people somehow, which I thought was a very bizarre comment. But I can't really see why you wouldn't take the time to do that. Because like you say, probably you won't get a response, but at least you've done it and you're getting your name back in front of them, reminding them something. And going back to your point about telling them that you enjoyed the interview, one of my recruiter friends always tells a story about he had two candidates going for a job. They were both equally as good in the interview, and the one that got the job was the one that actually said, "I really want this job," which sounds really obvious, but the other person didn't say it. And when it comes down to that kind of decision, you've got to go for it, haven't you? Just tell people that you really want the job and show that at the interview. So I think that's really good advice. Okay, so as you're kind of representing Vodafone, do you have any open positions at the moment at Vodafone?
Yes, absolutely. We're recruiting. I mean, we have several positions for product managers and developers, architects, designers, etc. But Vodafone has had set themselves as an organization to move from the telco to telco, from the telco to tech organization. Hence, we have a target of hiring about 500 developers in a 5-year period. So we do have lots of opportunities. So if you are interested, please reach out. I can put you through to the right person.
Oh, that's really great. So what would people do? Look at the website or the LinkedIn page or either of those things?
Yes, you can go to the LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
Usually, follow potential managers, and they will always put, links on LinkedIn about open positions. But the quickest way, just probably go to the career site, and then you will find all the open positions.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, so we have pretty much covered everything we went through yesterday in our run through. So I'm going to go on to our top tip. So, and I know this is quite difficult for you that's so organised with interviews. So, a top tip or a top 3 tips, whatever it is you want to talk about for people that have got interviews coming up, what would your advice be?
Yeah, okay. Yes, it's true. And, I've been thinking, how do I trim that down to one? And I couldn't. I'm sorry.
That's
But,
fine.
but then, from my heart, one thing that really, it works for me is that think about the interviewer as, another human being. For the person is also probably is not the same level of stress, but the person is probably really busy in too many other things, and then you really need to catch that attention. And one way that I find that is one thing that I find is that usually people are too focused on being professional and serious, and and not moving and being all still, but that doesn't work. We are people, and what they are really looking for is yes, your capabilities, and are you able to do the job or not, but also, would I stand this person 40 hours a week? And then if you just don't relax, it doesn't really work. So I would say break the ice. It's not the interviewer's job to do that. It's your job, because it's your opportunity to shine. So then I would say, yes, make an effort to find out, as you say, is knowing a little bit more about the person. Reading through the to the LinkedIn profile will tell you a lot of information about that person and what they are up to. So then that probably creates, some conversations. But also, crack a joke. Don't be so stiff. Because that really takes the interview to another level. I think. So I would say, yes, be genuine, but stay grounded. You're not going to offend anyone. That's not the idea. And also, one important thing that I found is that you need to speak upon the benefits that you bring the organization, not the benefits that for you. And I remember this person that came into an interview, and then I think that he said the words, "I want to settle in," like 10 times. And when we finished the interview, we say, "What is wrong with this guy?" But it was, it's not about you. It's about what benefits you bring to the organization, and because ultimately you are a product the company is paying for, your skills, and that's when you seal that contract. So yeah, let's leave it there.
Okay, that's fine. I've just seen a message come through from Liz, who's one of our directors, saying, "Have you got a purple jacket?" So I'm guessing that's aimed at me. I haven't. No, sorry, Liz. I've got a dress, I think. Really great story about dressing for your interview at Vodafone. Thank you, Katherine, for a great session. So thank you, Liz. Thanks for sharing that. So thank you again, Katherine. It's been really great to talk to you like this, and I hope that lots of our clients are going to be able to watch this and get something out of it. Got another comment here from John. So John's in America. So thanks, Katherine. Thanks, Sarah. This is very helpful. Funny, I think I sometimes get distracted asking myself if I'd want to spend 40 hours a week with them. I think that's a really good point. I've definitely thought, can I get on with this person? But I don't think I've actually thought, would I want to spend 40 hours a week with them? So that's definitely a good reflection. So thank you again. And as always, what I'll do, if anyone has any questions, please do add them to the chat and I will go back and answer them later. I'll also put in the 2 book references that Katherine made so that people can refer back to them. And I am back next week. And I actually can't remember what we're talking about next week, which is a bit embarrassing, but I will be back next week. I'll put that in the comments also. So thanks again for joining and see you next Wednesday. Oops, one more comment's come through. Sorry. So that's Paul. Thank you for sharing your experience and top tips, Katherine. So we will end there and see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.